The stars had always been quiet observers of Earth. Humans looked up at them, dreaming, wondering, imagining worlds far beyond their reach. Yet none of the ancient powers in the galaxy had paid much attention to the small blue planet. Humanity was chaotic, unpredictable, and seemingly insignificant. They were clever, yes, but compared to the towering civilizations scattered across the Milky Way, Earth was almost like a child playing at war with sticks. That illusion shattered in a single moment. A fleet of alien ships appeared on the edges of the solar system. They were enormous, far larger than anything humans had ever seen. Their surfaces glimmered with energy that shifted in colors no human eye could name. They were the envoys of the galactic Concord, a coalition of species that had ruled star systems for millennia. And now they had come for Earth. The message arrived through every communication channel simultaneously, broadcasted in dozens of languages, alien symbols, and even directly into human neural implants for those who had been experimenting with interstellar translation technology. The words were simple, cold, and absolute. The human species is hereby commanded to kneel. Submit your governments, surrender your weapons, and integrate into the galactic Concord within one standard cycle. Failure to comply will result in total eradication. In the first moments, disbelief reigned. Leaders stared at the message, mouths open, hearts hammering. Was this a joke, an experiment, a mistake in translation? But the gravity of the situation could not be denied. The galactic Concord did not make mistakes. They did not negotiate. They commanded. And now humanity had been commanded, and humanity had never been commanded before. World capitals erupted in meetings. Scientists, generals, diplomats, and politicians argued late into the night. Some panicked, calling for immediate compliance to preserve life. Others demanded defiance. Amid the chaos in the depths of secret facilities, the Black Armada stirred. For decades, humanity had built ships that no alien had ever seen. Their existence was classified, buried deep beneath oceans, hidden on moons and cloaked inside asteroid belts. The ships had been built quietly, designed to remain a secret until the day they were needed. And now, that day had come. Admiral Ilara Voss, the commander of the Black Armada, stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Eclipse. She was human, yes, but every part of her carried the weight of responsibility for a species that had never been truly tested. "We've waited too long," she said, her voice calm but resolute. "The galaxy thinks we are weak. They think we are foolish. They think they can order us to bow. They are wrong." Her officers nodded. The ships around them hummed with energy, weapon systems activating in careful sequences, shields charging, engines sparking. The Armada was ready. Meanwhile, on Earth, ordinary people went about their lives, unaware of how close the world was to war. Children played under the sun, workers finished their tasks, and cities glowed with night lights. Humanity had always believed the universe was too vast to notice them, but now it had noticed, and it demanded obedience. The first public broadcast from the galactic Concord shocked everyone. A holographic image appeared above the United Nations headquarters in New York. Massive, alien, and impossibly sharp in its angles, the Concord envoy spoke in a voice that resonated directly in the minds of humans across the planet. "You have been observed," the envoy said. "Your species is volatile. Your technology is primitive. Your governments are fractured, yet you interfere with the balance of the galaxy. This cannot continue. Kneel or face annihilation." Governments scrambled. Military councils debated, diplomats tried to communicate. And yet, amidst all this, the human response was silence. No surrender, no promises, only preparation. Unknown to the conquered, humanity had not only prepared weapons, they had prepared minds. Humans had studied alien strategies, battles, and technology. They had learned the strengths and weaknesses of the civilizations that now demanded their submission. Every design of every ship in the Black Armada had been influenced by observation, testing, and imagination. In orbit, the first squadrons of the Armada activated stealth systems and slipped through the detection grids of the Conquered. Each ship moved like a shadow, almost invisible, yet ready to strike. The galaxy believed humanity was defenseless. They believed Earth would submit. Admiral Voss looked at the tactical map displayed in front of her. Tiny lights represented enemy ships, massive and threatening. Red markers showed patrols, reinforcements, and weapon platforms. "They think we will kneel," she said softly. "They think we are children. They do not know what humans are capable of. They will learn." Her crew understood. Each one of them had been chosen for this moment. They had trained for decades, waiting for the day when humanity would be tested not just in small skirmishes, but in the crucible of true war. And now that day had come. Across the solar system, preparations were made in silence. Mines buried in the asteroid belt activated defensive grids, satellites repositioned for tactical advantage. Human scientists monitored the energy emissions of alien fleets, looking for weaknesses, patterns, and exploitable mistakes. And yet, despite all the preparation, one truth remained. No one knew what the first strike would bring. The Conquered was vast, their power unmatched. Humanity's response, though clever and secret, could fail. Entire species hung in the balance. On Earth, ordinary people watched the night sky with awe and fear. Satellites detected alien ships. Rumors spread. Some people panicked, fleeing cities and searching for safety. Others felt something deeper, a quiet pride that humanity, for all its flaws, had never faced the universe on equal terms before. The first contact, the first challenge, was coming, and the humans were ready, not to kneel, not to beg, not to submit. The Black Armada moved. Shadows swept across the solar system. Engines hummed, shields shimmered, and weapons hummed quietly, hidden from the eye. The galaxy had underestimated Earth, and underestimation was humanity's greatest weapon. Admiral Voss gave the final order. "All units, report status." "Systems green," replied the tactical officer. "Weapons online, shields at full capacity, stealth engaged, fleet ready, Admiral." "Good," she said. Her eyes scanned the map. "The galaxy has issued a challenge. They have demanded obedience. Humanity will respond in fire." And so, as Earth turned beneath the rising sun, humanity prepared to awaken the sleeping power it had hidden for centuries. The Black Armada, silent and deadly, waited for the moment to prove that humans were not a species to be commanded, that their spirit could not be broken, and that the galaxy had never faced anything like them before. The first signals were sent, not words, not warnings, only readiness, only the quiet, unshakable resolve of a species that had survived against all odds before and now was ready to fight against the stars themselves. Somewhere in the distance, the conquered ships moved closer, unaware of the storm that awaited them. Humanity had been underestimated. That would be their first and last mistake. The conquered fleets believed themselves untouchable. Their ships were enormous, bristling with weapons and crewed by species that had fought countless wars across the galaxy. They had never encountered humans before, not truly. They expected Earth to comply, or if it resisted, to fall quickly. They were wrong. From the darkness beyond Pluto, a shadow moved. It was subtle at first, almost invisible against the black void of space. Then it became clearer. Fleets of black-hulled ships, sleek, angular, and humming with hidden energy. The conquered sensors detected them, but their readings were confusing. These ships were human, but unlike any human technology the galaxy had ever seen. Admiral Voss stood on the bridge of the Eclipse, the flagship of the Black Armada. The holographic map before her showed the conquered fleet approaching the outer edges of the solar system. "They think this is a warning," Voss said, voice calm, yet filled with determination. "They think they can scare us into submission." "Admiral," replied Lieutenant Rin Taller, her eyes scanning the map. "Our sensors confirm. The conquered ships are moving in formation. They are ready to engage if we show any signs of aggression." Voss smiled faintly. "Good. Let them come. Let them see what humans can do when cornered." The first squadrons of the Armada slipped silently from their hidden positions. Cloaking fields shimmered and vanished, leaving only brief distortions in the sensors of the conquered. It was not a show of force, it was a test, a quiet, deadly challenge. For decades, humans had studied alien technology. They had learned how different species thought, how they fought, and how they communicated in battle. The Black Armada was a culmination of all that knowledge. Its weapons were designed not for brute force alone, but for adaptability. Its ships could analyze enemy maneuvers in real time and adjust attacks instantly. "Admiral," Rin said again, "scouts report that several conquered vessels are attempting to flank us. They are probing our defenses." "Let them try," Voss replied. "They will learn quickly." The first contact came with a flash. A small conquered frigate moving too close triggered a sensor sweep. Within seconds, human weapons responded. It was not a direct strike. There was no initial blast of destructive power. Instead, the frigate found itself surrounded by a field of electromagnetic pulses that disabled its engines and weapons. It drifted, helpless, unable to call for help. The conquered fleet observed, confused. "They are restraining it," one alien officer muttered to another. "What manner of humans are these?" "They are not just humans," Voss said quietly to herself. "They are everything we've been training to be." The human fleet moved in perfect coordination. Each ship had a specific role. Some were hunters, designed to disable enemy engines. Some were shields, moving to protect vulnerable vessels. And some were observers, recording every maneuver of the conquered for later analysis. Every action was calculated, precise, and deadly in its own way. Conquered commanders did not understand it. They had faced countless civilizations, but none that could coordinate so perfectly without a central controlling intelligence. Humans were not simply following orders. They were thinking, adapting, creating solutions in real time. Across the fleet, Admiral Voss observed through multiple screens. Her mind raced with calculations, strategies, and contingencies, yet she remained calm. Humans thrived under pressure. It was what they had always done. A larger conquered cruiser approached, armed with devastating weapons designed to obliterate planets. It fired a warning salvo, energy beams that could have destroyed moons. The human fleet did not scatter. Instead, smaller ships moved as shadows, weaving between the beams, firing countermeasures, and using the cruiser's own weapons against it. One by one, the massive guns of the cruiser were disabled. The conquered command could not comprehend the efficiency of human tactics. Meanwhile, across Earth, ordinary people watched the skies. Telescopes and satellites captured images of strange black ships in the solar system. Panic spread in some cities, but pride filled the hearts of others. Humans had been underestimated, but now the world was seeing the strength of a species that refused to bow. In orbit around Mars, Admiral Voss received a communication. It was not from Earth. It was from the conquered itself, a direct message to her. "Humanity," the voice said, "you cannot resist. Surrender now and your species will be spared. Refuse and your world will burn." Voss replied, her voice calm and unwavering. "We do not surrender. We do not kneel. We will defend our world and our species. That is the law of humanity." Her words echoed through the galaxy, not as threats but as a statement of truth. The conquered responded with force. Their fleets advanced, larger vessels moving to encircle the solar system. Yet every move they made was anticipated. The Black Armada adjusted formations, laying traps, activating defensive mines, and using asteroids as shields. Humans had prepared for centuries for this moment, and they were ready. On the outskirts of the solar system, the first true battle began. Conquered ships fired with everything they had: plasma lances, graviton bombs, and drone swarms designed to overwhelm. Human ships responded with coordination that no alien intelligence had ever seen. Rail cannons struck with precision, targeting engines and weapons. Energy fields absorbed attacks, while smaller vessels moved in to disable drones and repair critical systems. Humans fought not only with weapons but with creativity, turning every disadvantage into an advantage. Observers from distant stars watched in disbelief. They had expected Earth to fall quickly. Instead, humanity had shown coordination, courage, and ingenuity beyond imagination. In the middle of the battle, Lieutenant Rin Taller reported an unusual energy pattern. Admiral sensors are picking up a conquered command ship trying to escape. They are sending reinforcements from other systems. Voss nodded. Let them come. Every species underestimates humans at first. That is our advantage. Prepare intercept squads. We will meet them at the edge of the solar system. The human ships surged forward, moving like shadows in the void. They struck quickly, disabling key conquered ships and forcing the rest to retreat temporarily. The first real victory had been achieved. Yet the battle was only beginning. Across the galaxy, the conquered sent word to their member species. Humans were not a simple species. They were dangerous, unpredictable, and they would not kneel. Back on Earth, celebrations were quiet but powerful. People understood the stakes. They understood that humanity was not just fighting for survival. It was showing the galaxy that Earthlings were clever, united, and fearless. Admiral Voss looked out from the bridge of the eclipse, the stars stretching endlessly before her. We have shown them our strength, she said. But this is only the beginning. The galaxy will not forget this day, and neither will we. Humanity fights not because it wants war, but because it refuses to be ruled. That is our power. That is our truth. And somewhere in the vastness of space, the conquered fleets regrouped. They realized that humans were not a species that could be easily crushed or commanded. They were alive, adaptable, and relentless. The Black Armada moved silently, preparing for the battles yet to come. Humanity had shown its hand, and the galaxy had taken note. The stars had always been quiet observers of Earth, but now they would remember it as the place where humans stood tall, where a species underestimated by the universe proved that it would fight, survive, and rise. The first victory had been claimed, but the war for respect, for survival, and for freedom across the stars was only beginning, and humanity was ready. The solar system had become a battlefield. Conquered fleets advanced relentlessly, their massive ships glowing like deadly suns against the blackness of space. From the asteroid belt to the orbit of Neptune, the first full-scale confrontation between humanity and the galaxy's most powerful alliance was about to erupt. Admiral Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of the eclipse, her eyes scanning the holographic battlefield. Thousands of human ships moved in perfect formation, a shadowy wave of black metal and energy cutting across the void. Admiral, Lieutenant Rin Taller reported, conquered forces are deploying a forward strike group. They are attempting a pincer maneuver to isolate our squadrons near Jupiter. Voss nodded, her fingers tracing patterns on the tactical map. Let them try. They will find humans are not so easy to corner. Activate adaptive countermeasures and prepare intercept vectors. Every ship executes autonomous tactical response protocols. The Black Armada had been trained for this moment for decades. Humans were not merely soldiers. They were problem solvers, inventors, and tacticians. Every squadron moved like living extensions of the fleet's consciousness. Missiles that could be detected were not fired blindly. Energy shields rotated with predictive algorithms, anticipating enemy attacks before they happened. The first salvo of the battle tore through the void. Conquered plasma lances struck at human ships, but adaptive shields absorbed most of the energy. Smaller intercept vessels darted like shadows, disabling conquered drones and feeding real-time data to larger command ships. For the first time, a human ship retaliated. A single Vigilant-class frigate, black as the void itself, launched a chain of microrail strikes. They hit the engines of a conquered cruiser with pinpoint accuracy, forcing it to drift helplessly. Another ship fired a magnetic pulse that short-circuited weapons systems on several enemy vessels simultaneously. Conquered admirals watched in disbelief. Their sensors, designed to predict enemy behavior, could not keep up with the speed, coordination, and unpredictability of human tactics. They are adapting faster than any species we have ever encountered, one conquered officer whispered, fear creeping into his tone. How is this possible? They are human, another replied almost in awe, and we have underestimated them. On the bridge of the eclipse, Voss observed the chaos with a sense of grim satisfaction. They are learning too late. Every move they make, we are ready for. Humanity fights not for conquest but for survival, and that makes us unstoppable. The battle intensified. Conquered drone swarms advanced like dark clouds, each unit small but deadly, designed to overwhelm the human fleet with sheer numbers. Yet humans had anticipated this. Automated defense grids activated, weaving electromagnetic nets to intercept drones. Railguns tore through swarms before they reached the main fleet. Every move was calculated, precise, and devastatingly effective. Meanwhile, deeper in the solar system, smaller human squadrons executed flanking maneuvers. They used asteroids, gas giants, and even solar flares as cover. Conquered ships, expecting traditional formations and predictable tactics, were caught off guard again and again. The more the conquered fired, the more they revealed weaknesses, and humanity exploited every one. Admiral Voss monitored every engagement. Her eyes flicked from screen to screen, observing damage reports, enemy positions, and the movements of her own ships. In the middle of the chaos, she saw an opening, a massive conquered command cruiser at the rear, coordinating the fleet. It was heavily armed but slow to respond. "Target that cruiser," she ordered. "All units focus fire. Disable it without breaking formation." Human ships surged forward. Coordinated volleys struck the cruiser from multiple angles. Micromissiles detonated near its engines, ion pulses disabled its weapons, and railguns shredded critical systems. The massive ship, once a symbol of conquered dominance, drifted powerless, emitting signals of surrender. Across the galaxy, other species watched the battle unfold in shock. Humanity, a species they had dismissed as primitive, was winning. Their ships were smaller, fewer, but smarter. Humans adapted in ways no computer, no algorithm, no strategist could predict. The galaxy realized that humans were not just clever, they were exceptional. Back on the eclipse, Voss allowed herself a brief smile. This is what we have trained for. Every lesson, every sacrifice, every long night of preparation, it has led to this moment. But the conquered would not give up easily. Reinforcements poured in from nearby systems. Massive dreadnoughts, bristling with weapons capable of destroying moons, moved toward the solar system. Humans were outnumbered, outgunned, yet they did not waver. Instead, they used ingenuity. Entire fleets repositioned to create overlapping fields of fire. Asteroid belts became impromptu shields. Human engineers remotely hacked conquered drone networks, turning enemy swarms against their own fleet. Every advantage was exploited, every weakness used. In one dramatic strike, a human ship detached a small probe that penetrated the defenses of a conquered battleship. The probe detonated a pulse that disabled the ship's navigation systems, leaving it vulnerable to concentrated human fire. Within minutes, it was drifting, destroyed. Admiral Voss watched the reports flood in. "Every victory we take is a lesson to the galaxy," she said quietly. "They will remember that humans do not surrender. They will remember that we fight with mind and heart." Humanity's courage and ingenuity inspired more than just soldiers. On Earth, millions watched live feeds of the battle. They saw black ships moving through the void, dancing between blasts of alien fire and striking back with devastating precision. Fear turned into pride. Pride turned into hope. The human spirit, the thing that no alien fleet could calculate or predict, shone brighter than any star. In the midst of battle, Lieutenant Rin Taller received a warning signal. Admiral, a conquered supercarrier is preparing a concentrated strike on Earth. Its weapons are capable of destroying entire cities. Voss nodded. Then we must act faster, prepare the intercept squads. We cannot allow them to reach the planet. Humanity's home will not fall. Black Armada ships surged toward the threat. Smaller frigates darted ahead, planting disruption charges that interfered with the supercarrier's targeting systems. Human cruisers formed defensive lines, shielding Earth while simultaneously striking the massive ship with relentless fire. The conquered supercarrier faltered. For every move it made, human ships countered. For every weapon it unleashed, humanity had a solution. And finally, after hours of intense combat, the supercarrier's engines were crippled, its weapons disabled, and its crew forced to surrender or abandon ship. It was a victory unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. A species dismissed as primitive had survived an encounter with forces that had crushed countless civilizations. Humans had not only defended their home, they had dominated the battlefield. Yet Voss knew the war was far from over. "This is only the beginning," she said. "The galaxy will send more. They will not forgive our defiance, but we are ready. Humanity will stand and humanity will fight. That is our truth. That is our power." Across the galaxy, conquered commanders sent urgent messages to their allies. Humans are unlike anything we have encountered. They are intelligent, unpredictable, and dangerous. Do not underestimate them. Do not attack Earth directly. They will not kneel. On Earth, ordinary people looked up at the sky, seeing the faint glimmers of human ships moving silently across the void. For the first time in history, they understood the meaning of their species' resilience. Humans were clever, adaptable, and united. They did not surrender, they did not bow, and they did not fear the universe. The Black Armada regrouped after the battle. Ships that were damaged were repaired. Weapons systems recalibrated. Fleet formations adjusted. Humans were not celebrating. They were preparing for the next challenge. Admiral Voss stood on the bridge of the eclipse, staring into the darkness. "The galaxy has seen us now," she said. "They have learned that humanity fights with fire and with heart. They have learned that we are not a species to command, and they will never forget it." Somewhere in the distance, conquered fleets withdrew temporarily, licking their wounds and reconsidering their strategy. For the first time in history, the galaxy had encountered a species that could not be predicted, could not be controlled, and could not be broken. And humanity was ready for whatever came next. The stars were silent witnesses once more, but this time they shone upon a species that had proven it could stand against the galaxy itself. Humanity had fought, survived, and emerged stronger. The fire had been lit in the void, and the universe would never forget the day Earth refused to kneel. The silence that followed the battle was heavy but not peaceful. Across the solar system, wreckage floated in the void, the remnants of conquered ships that had dared to challenge humanity. The Black Armada drifted among the debris, engines humming quietly, shields still at alert, every crew member aware that the galaxy had only begun to understand what humans could do. Admiral Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of the eclipse, her eyes scanning the battlefield one final time. "We have shown them strength," she said softly, "but they will not give up so easily. The conquered is wounded, yes, but pride will make them return." Lieutenant Rin Taller looked at her, concern in her eyes. "Admiral, the conquered may send reinforcements from other systems. Their fleets are vast. If they come together, we may face a true war across the stars." Voss nodded. Then we must prepare. But for now, let the galaxy understand who humanity is. We do not seek conquest. We do not seek domination, but we will never kneel. For the first time, humans communicated directly with the conquered. Voss authorized a single, clear message to be broadcast across every channel. Earth will not kneel. Humanity fights for survival, for freedom, and for the right to exist as equals in the galaxy. We do not seek to rule. We do not seek to conquer. But no species will threaten Earth without facing the full power of our ingenuity and unity. Across the galaxy, the conquered received the message. Their leaders were stunned. They had believed Earth to be a minor, chaotic species, easy to intimidate or destroy. And yet, here was a species that had fought the most advanced fleets in existence and emerged unbroken. Within conquered command chambers, debates raged. Some argued for renewed attack, insisting that humans must be crushed to prevent future defiance. Others, quieter and wiser, argued that humanity had proven itself, intelligent, disciplined, and too dangerous to attempt to destroy. Meanwhile, on Earth, ordinary people watched the skies. The glow of distant human ships reflected in oceans and rivers, and for the first time, billions understood the significance of what had happened. Humans were no longer an underestimated species. They were a force in the galaxy, one that had earned respect and fear simultaneously. In orbit above Earth, the Black Armada conducted repairs and resupplied their weapons. Ship crews worked tirelessly, knowing that humanity's survival depended not just on victory but on preparation for the future. Admiral Voss gathered her senior officers. "We have achieved a remarkable victory," she said. "But this is not the end. The galaxy will not forget today. Our people must be ready always. We fight not because we hate but because we protect. That is the core of humanity's power." Lieutenant Taller nodded. "The galaxy will remember, Admiral, and they will respect us." Voss looked out into the black expanse. "They will. But respect is earned, and we have only just begun. We will defend Earth, and we will defend the principles that make us human: ingenuity, courage, and unity." Weeks passed. The conquered withdrew to distant systems, reconsidering their strategy. Reports from allied species confirmed what humans already knew: the galaxy had been shaken. Humanity was no longer a backwater civilization. Humans had demonstrated the rarest of qualities: adaptability, creativity under pressure, and the courage to face seemingly impossible odds without fear. Within the Black Armada, morale soared. Engineers, pilots, tacticians, and scientists all understood that humanity had reached a turning point. This was not just a victory of weapons or numbers, it was a victory of spirit. On Earth, celebrations were quiet but profound. People did not dance in the streets or throw fireworks. Instead, they rebuilt, they trained, and they prepared. Humanity had been tested, and humanity had proven itself. The world had changed. The stars had changed. In the distant void, the conquered convened emergency councils. Species that had once looked down on humans now approached with caution. Some sent envoys to Earth, not to conquer, but to observe, to learn, and in some cases to negotiate. The galaxy had been forced to recognize a new order, one in which humans were equals and, in some ways, unpredictable masters of their own destiny. Back on the bridge of the eclipse, Admiral Voss received a communication from Earth's governing council. "Admiral," the message began, "the people of Earth wish to express their gratitude. Your leadership has saved humanity and shown the galaxy our true strength." Voss responded simply, "The Armada fights not for glory but for survival and freedom. Humanity's strength is in every person on Earth and beyond. Together we stand. Together we are unstoppable." As the years passed, humanity's reputation grew. The Black Armada became a symbol, not of war but of protection. Other species came to respect Earth's ingenuity, discipline, and resilience. Humanity had proven that intelligence, unity, and courage could outmatch even the most advanced technology. Yet Admiral Voss remained vigilant. She knew that the galaxy was vast, full of unknown threats, and that humans would always need to be prepared. The Black Armada remained in shadow, always ready, always watching, a silent guardian of Earth and human freedom. In classrooms across Earth, children learned not only of mathematics and science, but of the day humanity stood against the galaxy and refused to bow. They learned that being clever, courageous, and united could overcome any obstacle. In distant star systems, historians wrote of the Black Armada victory, calling it a turning point in galactic history. Some records exaggerated human power, but all agreed on one truth. The species of Earth could not be commanded, could not be broken, and would never kneel. Admiral Voss looked once more at the stars. She knew there would be challenges ahead, new threats and new enemies. But she also knew something far more important. Humanity had discovered the strength within itself. A strength that could not be measured by fleets, weapons, or numbers alone. It was the power of spirit, the power of unity, the power of being human. And as Earth turned beneath her, black ships moving silently across the void, one truth became clear. The day the galaxy ordered Earth to kneel was the day humanity stood tallest. Not with fire and destruction alone, but with courage, ingenuity, and an unbreakable spirit that no force in the universe could ever extinguish. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity had written a new order among the stars, not of conquest, but of respect. Not of domination, but of recognition. The human species had arrived, and the universe would never forget the Black Armada. And somewhere in the endless black of space, the Armada waited, ready, vigilant, and prepared to defend the greatest treasure of all, Earth, and the indomitable spirit of humanity.